Every city you burn, I'm gonna build one high.
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden, and it is, I don't even know, what day is it? January 19th, YC128. And this is the Eve Universe Show. Hey, guys, how's it going? Barely keeping track of what day it is, let alone anything else that's going on. Today has been pretty wild. Well, there's been a lot going on. This weekend, we managed to take down the war headquarters of the war deck that was after us, and so ended that war deck. Then we got a blue pop on our moon, so everything was worth double. So I mined like 400 million ISK worth of ore in a day in high sec with one character. And then I turned around and saw some sites in the system, scanned them down, got myself a road drone site, and got myself one of those chips that gives you a free Astero blueprint. So far it has been really great, but I also have my son over, and they are actually in the process of replacing my dishwasher. There's a lot going on right now, and everything's kind of falling apart, but I refuse to not stream today, so we're at least going to give it a shot. I don't know if today's going to be a short stream. I don't know if today's going to get interrupted. I don't know if I'm going to have to run off or whatever. We're just all going to be prepared. We're going to be prepared for whatever ends up happening today, all right? Also, if I can, we did do some of the, on my Decanted channel, we did some Imperial Agent playthrough on Star Wars The Old Republic, and I hope today, this evening, we will be doing more of that after the main stream today. So, oh shoot, I should have put that in my, hold on. How do I do this? YouTube, Ashrothi Decanted. I need to put a link to my new channel in my description. I'm so bad at this. Hold on. Edit. I'll just put it at the very top. Oh no, I also have distribution missions listed there. Whatever. Who knows? There's the channel. All right. So make sure to subscribe to the Ashrothi Decanted channel. That is where I'll put all of my non-Eve related stuff. Today I hope to do some more Star Wars, but only if this all works out and all that stuff. Hey, what is up, James? 07 to you. Yeah, so we're getting it done in Eve today. That's correct. So today, well, this week we did a poll. As I said before, I guess now Sunday, I'm putting out a poll for my members to see what the next topic for the next week is going to be. So this week, our content is going to be around faction warfare, which I'm very excited about. However, I also promised you one more ship for mission running week. So we're still kind of a little bit behind because of how last week ended up. So I wanted to do this one. We did a poll last week and people wanted to do an Amar ship. So here we are. We got an Amar ship, and have you seen CCP's poll? Which CCP's poll? If you want to DM me about it, I'll look at it. I mean, there's been lots of CCP polls. Are you talking about the, if you're talking about the inclusivity one, we did an entire stream about that, which I still need to split off and edit. So much that needs to happen. Anywho, yeah. No, we did like a 2-hour long breakdown of that poll. So that is from last week, if you're interested. Okay, so what are we doing today, though? So we have an Amar ship. We need to do an Amar mission running ship. We've done a Galente one. Wait, it has data on lore. Wait, am I confusing this? I don't remember the inclusivity poll having anything to do with lore. But either way, we have this here. I did do a look at all of the different Well, yeah, they have talked like the talks from last year's Fan Fest about the lore is actually very, very insightful. Oh, speaking of Wonderland of the Mind, we do have something else to talk about today that's very, very fascinating. I'll have to pull that up in a second, or in a little, or a while, or whatever. But okay, so we're looking at Amarr ships today. Your data. Remember, right? I'm not crazy. Am I losing? No. Ah, yeah. Okay, good. Don't do that to me. All right. So I looked at the different battleships that the Amarr have at their disposal. Now, obviously, the Paladin is baller, which we can always show off how good the Paladin is. Although I've flown the Paladin on stream before, Marauders are, of course, the kings of mission running, absolute kings of mission running. But if you don't have those skill points or you're a little bit more on a budget, we have the Abaddon, which is known for being extremely high damage. However, it is also known for being extremely cap hungry, right? All those giant lasers means that most of the time Abaddon fits have to have like the vast majority of its mid slots in the form of capacitor. We have the Apocalypse, which has that optimal range bonus, which can be really good, and an activation cost bonus, so it can be a little bit more cap stable, and a damage bonus. So this would have been a really good choice as well, potentially for a mission running battleship. And then also we have the Armageddon, and the Armageddon is slightly more E-War focused. We are losing the weapon systems bonuses, but we do get drone support. So previously we did the Dominic's Navy issue, and we did the Raven. And one of the things that we learned about both of those is that the strategy of like the micro jump drive and range, very solid strategy, very good, especially for tank efficiency and such. So I think we're going to go with that again. But so actually the Apocalypse or the Armageddon would make good options. Now, the biggest reason, in my opinion, the biggest weakness of the Amarr, rather, I should start with, is that a lot of the ships, when they're laser boats, they are damage locked, right? Where all lasers do EM and thermal damage. So, and not to mention costing a lot of capacitor and everything like that. But the good news is, and this is where this really kind of shines, is the fact that Amarr ships also don't require ammo in the same way as other ships, because crystals carry a lot of shots on them. You only have to carry like an extra set of crystals for reloads. And then also, if you go with just the standard crystals, if you have a backup set of standard non-faction crystals, then you can never be without ammo. You can always just load in those standard T1 crystals and just go to town, right? And so that, combined with drones, I think makes a really solid option for an Amarr boat for somebody who just wants to be able to run missions basically forever without having any real cost. And so that's what kind of led me to checking out the Armageddon as an option. But the other option that I find very interesting, we have the Apocalypse Navy issue, which takes that Apocalypse and takes that optimum range and activation cost, keeps those, and then adds a bit more damage, half again as much damage bonus. So that could be a good option, and it's very tanky. But bring back blaze ammo. Oh my god, blaze ammo! I remember. I'm having like a weird flashback to that. Like that feels like something I should know about, but now I can't even remember it. Going from Amarr to lesser races. Lesser races. Makes me forget my ammo every time. And then there's the Armageddon Navy issue. This is the one I really kind of want to check out, because it takes the drone damage bonus and it adds that laser bonus to it as well, right? Now, you can actually fit the Armageddon and the Armageddon Navy issue with missiles as well. You can see that it's also bonus for missiles. This one's unbonused for either of them, but you can still have them. They have the hard points. And in fact, the basic build that I was able to find did use missiles, right? The original setup that I got here Armageddon security runner, which I picked up. I took one of the ones off of Eve Workbench, and I tweaked it a bit. And I went with this setup. You do have Tech 2 missiles, so these missiles can go 110, 111, so that will go everywhere. My lock range is 103. And my drone control range is 108 due to the 2 drone link augmenters. So this could theoretically be really great. And I also swapped out some of the mid slots for a double omnidirectional tracking unit, because the vast majority, while I do have weapons in the highs, it would appear as if most of my damage is going to come from drones, right? Drones are 600, missiles are 300. Lesser races, I remind you, sir, that the Glente can easily turn your ships into space decoration. Okay. Whew, calm down. T2 crystals that did explosive EM damage? What happened to those? I can't remember those at all. Anywho, okay. So this was my first shot at it, and this is like taking it from what was on the Eve Workbench. But then I thought about it, and I was like, wait a minute. No. The whole reason why we're doing this is so that we don't use ammo. So this one does 911 DPS with high damage weapons. If I switch to this one, which uses lasers instead, I went with dual heavy beam laser 2s because they were the ones that fit. And we go here and we put in Gleam. It does 809, Aurora 723. So we lost some of the damage. We did lose some damage here. But hold on. Yeah, we lost the damage in the turrets. But again, like that's not even really where the majority of the damage is coming from. And these are now going to be far more ammo efficient. You can go with either one, right? The missiles, the good advantage of the missiles is that you're going to be able to select your damage type. And possibly apply a little bit easier. You may want to consider swapping out one of these omnidirectionals for a target painter if you're going to go for that. I'm going to go with pure lasers just to see how things work. Should be fine. Now, also I hear coming up the stairs my new dishwasher, so let's hope everything goes well. Zoe, where's? Oh, okay. Oh boy. Well, let's hope everything works out. All right. So, oh, hold on. I'll be right back. All right, all disasters avoided. We can keep going. So I guess one of my biggest questions right now is, so if this is, no, my puppy's name is Zoria, Zoria Triglav, no, Zoe for short. But as I said, my dishwasher broke, so they are bringing up the dishwasher. So I was trying to make sure that the dog didn't like escape as the maintenance guy was coming in. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Everything's fine now. So the big question, though, that I have is it going to be so much better to have an Armageddon Navy issue versus an Armageddon? So with Aurora, we have 723. With Gleam, we have 809. However, our cap is also not cap stable. Our cap isn't capping. Now, admittedly, part of that might be the micro jump drive, but even then, you've still got 12 minutes. Now, the nice thing about lasers, we've talked about this in the turret guide, is that different crystals take different amounts of power. So if we put in a standard crystal, standard is the lowest capacitor cost, I think, we can see that we can actually operate this ship cap stable with standard in. So that's going to be my requirement, and this still shoots out to 53 to 68, so that's awesome. If they drop, it's already in the house. They've already not dropped it. So okay. Then let's go ahead and hop over to the Armageddon Navy issue. So this is 740 DPS with curators, and standard, right? So if we hop over to this Navy issue, basically the same fit. I took almost the exact same stuff, put it in here, and except for we did, because of the Armageddon Navy issue, we got to have the big, huge tachyon beam lasers, which I almost never get to fit on a ship. Tachyon beam lasers have got to be the hardest weapon system in the game to actually fit on a ship. So that's always fun. So if we go to standard again, we can see that our DPS is actually 865. So that's quite a bit, actually. Hold on, let's jump back one more time. 865 versus 740. So that's that's a lot of damage difference. Now, granted, that's all in the turrets, but also, hold on, 55,000 EHP, 72,000 EHP, plus it's cap stable, and it's cap stable with the best ammo going. So, that actually, I'm getting kind of convinced. That an Armageddon Navy issue is worth the difference in price. It's 500 million instead of 200 million. So you're spending 300 million to get that extra 100 DPS. But again, like, you're putting it in the ship, which means that it's not a gankable amount of money, right? Like, I like to invest in my ship for capabilities instead of mods for capabilities, because like, that doesn't make it more of a gank target. So, oh wait, this is actually, hold on. What am I looking at? This is the wrong one. This is the missile one. But doesn't matter, still the same. It is, though. I usually use missiles. Yeah, under normal conditions, I would use, I would definitely consider using missiles. The thing here is that, like I said, my goal here is actually to, like, if I was just going to use missiles, then you might as well use the Raven or the Mimitar one or whatever like that, right? Like, one of the reasons why you use a MAR is so that you can use lasers and never have to reload or, you know, whatever. So, let's see. Is there an Armageddon Navy issue for sale here that's reasonable? 580 when the expectation is 524. Hold on. If we go... Let's pull up the browser. As with, you know, if we need market information, we can always go to evemarketer.com and we can go to Armageddon Navy issue. We can see that in JITA, it's 488 million. So yeah, it is 100 million less in JITA than it is in Dodixie right now, which unfortunately, like, I feel like that means that I'm gonna have to just, even though I could theoretically spend it and it's for stream or whatever, I'm always so allergic to spending that much extra. So let's go ahead and find a way to zip over to JITA, and then we'll fit up from there. And then we'll head to where we're going. Oof. All right. I hope I fixed my sound. Okay. Let's go ahead and set destination for JITA 44. Caldari Navy Assembly Plant. And head out. Glentia requires you to not be a traitor to the economy. Well, I mean, oftentimes it's pretty decent to get things in Dodixie. It's just, the problem is that, like, a Navy battleship of a different race, that's one of the hardest. Yeah, that is an arbitrage opportunity. Now, granted, moving a few of those battleships over there would be hefty, obviously. But like that is one of those things. That's why I looked it up on the market, right? Because you got to think about like high opportunity for gain, low opportunity for gain, right? If it was a Dominic's Navy issue, chances are the price isn't going to be quite as extreme of a difference, because Dominic's Navy issues are, you know, easier to produce with things like, or will be produced by people that are more like local to Gallente. So like the Armageddon Navy issue, somebody had to bring it to the Gallente trade hub in order for it to be there. So yeah, the chances are that a Navy issue, a MAR battleship, will be more expensive in secondary trade hubs. It would actually be kind of fun to check out. What's interesting is that the one in Jita is actually still cheaper than the one in Amar. The one in Amar is 505 million, but still like not, but that much more expensive. And then, you know, when you jump down to Heck, it looks like it's 544 million, with Dodixie finally coming in at 580 million. The only people that are moving giant battleships to sell in Dodixie are people who are wanting to make a good profit off of it, right? So higher likelihood of being a bad deal in Dodixie for that kind of thing versus some of the other stuff. So it was worth checking, and now we have, and now we're on our way to Jita. That's pretty much how that works. Is there anything else we wanted to talk about today? Let's see. While we're going, man, okay, I do want to show you guys, show off this thing that Wonderlands of the Mind has been working on, if that's okay. Because I kind of also want to hear people's thoughts about this too. Let me see if I can pull this up. Let me see if I can find a good example from the stuff that he was working on. So what he's been doing, apparently, I didn't even know this, or at least I've forgotten this. So we were talking, you know, people have talked to me about like history of prices and stuff, right? And, you know, we can go to Eve Marketer and we can look at the price history. But even then, we still have only, I think, the last year. Let me look real quick. Yeah, it looks like it's only the last year. Also, isn't the Amar the smallest represented faction in faction warfare? So there's less people getting LP to buy PPCs. I mean, Amar and Mimitar are always lower than Gallente Caldari, so that's absolutely a good point. That would put, but yeah, that, I mean, like there theoretically would be more volatility in the Amar Navy and the Mimitar Navy ships than in Gallente or Caldari Navy ships, for example. But we would have to dig into that a little bit more deeply. I accept your explanation. I've canceled my anonymous Capsuleer criminal reporting report. What? What have I done? The M3 of a battleship packaged. We have... Nope. So... packaged, a battleship is 50,000 M3 packaged. So like a blockade runner or a deep space transport. Yeah, deep space transport will be able to haul one of them. Obviously a freighter will be able to hold more than one. But, so what Wonderlands of the Mind discovered or brought to my attention is the fact that what is it, Eve Ref, I think it is, the Eve Ref website, which I go to all the time to get like the specific data from a rat or a module, like it has basically everything in the database. It also has on their website, they have every market data from every single day of, I think, all of EVE history available one day at a time. So you can, in theory, pull all of that data and stitch it together and actually recreate basically the entire market history of EVE Online from 2003. Now, I know it's a lot more, I think it's a lot more accurate from 2009. I actually don't remember why. Oh, good. Oh, sweet. You're so kind. Let me go pull that up. Can you DM me the link real quick just so I don't have to go hunting? Wait, hold on. I might have already have it. This says no interface running right now. I need a new link. Any rate, so he has pulled all of the market data for all of history. Where did you post it? Oh, hey, cool. Hold on. A little bit of a distraction, but looks like TL here found the original Blaze ammo. So, God, why do I remember this? When did this get taken from the game? Does anybody remember? Here in this chat? Oh, if you posted it in here, the bot probably ate it. I need you to DM it to me in Discord. When was Blaze L removed? Okay, well that would have been before my time, so that's probably why. But people still had crystals that can't be used. That's fascinating. Yeah, I didn't even know that. I did not know. When you mentioned it, I feel like there was a moment of like, or like I've heard of that, but also I was thinking because there is also the Blaze skin. So, but I think I've heard about this before. There are a few collector's items like that. The one I mostly have is the mines, right? Like the oh, where is it? Do I not have it? Hold on. What is it called? Isn't it an anaconda? Yeah. So at one point in EVE, in the earliest days of EVE, there was in theory like a proximity mine that you could deploy, but those ended up being like incredibly game breaking. So now they exist. Some people even have blueprints to manufacture them, but you can't use them at all. There are a few collector's items like that. Maybe we should make a list of those. Ah, come on. Anaconda sounds like it should be a Garissa ship. Yeah, a little bit. Anywho, so what Wonderland of the Mind did, which I find fascinating, but we need to look into it a little bit more. Hold on. Let me pull this up. Oh, wait. Hold on. He got me a link. Sweet. Perfect. Perfect. So in this link, we can say, okay, we can pick any item in the game. Any item in the game. This is so crazy. So we can pick any item in the game. Let's go with Armageddon Navy issue. We can go to the Armageddon Navy issue. We can look at the average, the volume, and the price and plex. And we can change the volume to be red, the price in Plex to be, let's go with yellow, and update chart. We can see here, so this is actually part of the problem with this chart, which may need some fiddling because it's all trying to put it on the same scale. So unfortunately, the price in ISK, Annie, are you okay? The price in ISK is blowing out everything else because everything else is like, okay, well, it takes 6 Plex versus 522 million. So we'd have to like tweak it a little bit. Although he has charts where these things get kind of more balanced together. But if you look, we can look at like the price of the Armageddon Navy issue was in 2011, it was 320 million. And I think that's probably about where it was first created. I have no idea why this giant spike exists here. But, you know, this is a good example of like when everybody's talking about inflation in EVE or whatever, we can see here that the price of the Armageddon Navy issue has only gone from 300 to 500. But we also can see that the vast majority of that uptick in price happened, like it seems like it's at this lower value. And then sometime in 2018, certainly 2020, we see this pull up, and then it's up at this higher rate from that point on. That's because in 2020, that was when the industry changes were done, right? So we can see like this increase. This is not from the value of the ship change or like the change in ISK or anything like that. Yeah, I know there's a dark mode check box. I'm sorry. No, it's because they literally changed what it took to build battleships, right? Battleships went from 100 to 150 million on average to 300 million on average. And now there has been subsequent tweaks since then as well in order to kind of bring this back down. The Navy stuff, you know, has a higher, you know, pressure on it as well. So, you know, this change in price that exists, the only significant change in this battleship price throughout its history comes from a change in its composition of manufacturing, not because the overall value of ISK has changed or even the overall value of the minerals have changed. So we could even look, like, let's look at, actually, if we look at the Dominix, even, we'll check dark mode this time. We should see two big, yeah, here it is, right? So you see this big tick up right here? This is where I made my original fortune, by the way, guys. Because one day at FanFest, I'm pretty sure it was at FanFest, they announced that they were going to tier aside battleships, right? It used to be that, you know, the Hyperion was just better than the Dominix or the Megathron because they were tiered, right? Not tech, but tier. So, yeah, I know. Yes, I understand if I don't select the ISK, then it doesn't blow it out. But I'm just saying, like, this is something that's pretty cool. Actually, maybe it was this uptick. One of these two upticks comes from them changing the composition of battleships. And so I remember I was parked in Jeddah, and they made that announcement, and I bought every single Dominix I could afford. I think I bought 12 of them, and they immediately basically almost doubled in price. Again, not because of anything about how popular Dominixes were, or how much minerals cost, or how much Plex was worth. It was exclusively because they changed the composition of the ship itself, right? So Dominixes used to be a lower tier power than the Hyperion, but it also cost less to build. When they tier-sided it, they brought all of the lower tier ones up to the power of the highest tier one, but it also made it up to the same cost as the higher tier one. So that's where that tick comes on in. And then again, in 2020, we see battleship prices blow up because they change the amount of cost it takes to make battleships. They made battleships a lot harder to make. They added in all of the new reactable components and everything like that. And then in 2024 or 2025, somewhere in there, they fixed the price of battleships again. Oh, you only took 2009 and beyond. That makes sense. The battleship price falls off, and because they lowered the cost of battleships a little bit, right? Originally, they said, okay, we're just going to buff battleships to make it equivalent. So you see their value is high, and then they made it a little bit cheaper, and so their value fell back down. So, but if we take out the average and we just show this, we should see, now this is actually kind of cool too. So this red chart is the price in Plex, right? And by that, I mean the price in Plex if you had sold it at that time for ISK. And so this is where this, what Wonderland of the Mind has been working on, I think is particularly fascinating. Let me see if I can pull up one of the charts that we were looking at the other day. Give me a second. So here's the Proteus. We're just going to work with this one as an example, I think. So this is the Proteus's historical chart. But what's interesting here is that the orange line represents the value. Okay, so let me explain a little bit. There are two ways to buy something in EVE, to have enough ISK to buy something in EVE. You can either buy it with ISK outright, obviously, and that's just the value of it on the market. But you can also pay real life money to buy a ship in EVE. Ah, is that RMT? No, you can buy Plex and then sell that Plex on the market and then use the ISK from the Plex in order to buy the ship. Now, obviously, there's that extra step, but the interesting thing here is that the value of Plex versus ISK changes over time, right? The actual buying power of Plex in EVE changes over time. And unlike things like the battleship, we can actually see that this Proteus has not actually changed in absolute value of ISK very much at all. It's been relatively stable. It's at 250. It drops all the way down to about 150 and goes up to about 300. So yeah, it's like it fluctuates, you know, give or take. Oh my God, hold on. So what he's done is he has taken the Plex, like the cost of Plex at that time, and then seen how much Plex you would have to buy in order to pay for that ship. Now, he also did do the math to make it so that when they split Plex into 500, like, so it's otherwise we would see this giant blowout when it switches from 1 to 500. If you check Sleeper Drone AI Nexus, that 5 million one, you can see ISK was devalued as the JITA price stays at 5 million. Yeah. So what I find fascinating here is this crossover point where prior to this crossover point, theoretically speaking, it was worth more to buy it in Plex and then sell that Plex for ISK and then buy the thing. But then it falls off. Now, the one problem with this chart is that it's using two different scales, right? And so theoretically speaking, this crossover point might be an illusion, but this is where I'm kind of interested, right? Because every chart that we looked at, somewhere between 2012 and 2014, we see this crossover point where Plex becomes worth less than the raw ISK value. And this got me thinking about the fact that, like, I want to get a version of the chart where this Plex line is totally flat, right? As if Plex never changed. And I want to compare that to the value of the ISK. So, like, if this orange line was totally straight, what would this blue line look like in relationship to it? Because I feel like there's a very, very important piece of information that we may or may not have ever had before, right? Like, the piece to this is that as Plex is worth more ISK per Plex, right, the actual buying value of Plex theoretically goes up. It costs less Plex to buy the same thing. And we can definitely see that here, even though these are like the different scales or whatever, we can definitely see that while the ISK value stays relatively flat, the Plex value goes down. To use blue loot? Well, yeah, blue loot is a commodity, so it's not going to change in Plex or in ISK all the time. I see what you're saying. If we do something that's stable, then it could theoretically like show us the difference of change over time. That makes ISK stay flat. That's a good idea. Well, like, so Malak was suggesting that we could run a derivative, I think it was, to get the difference, to modify this. I'm still looking into this, but I feel like there's an important lesson here about the relationship between Plex, ISK, and inflation, right? Where we don't actually have an ISK inflation, but because the value of Plex, because the amount of ISK in the system continues to go up, right? We see that in hold on, if we go here, no, hold on, where is news? There was the monthly economic report. Yeah, go away. So as we can see here, like, the total money supply continues to go up. I mean, it's up and down, but like the trend is up. The total amount of ISK in the system, it continues to go up. And the ability for people to make ISK continues to go up as like there's a slow power creep, as it were, or, you know, as things are able to be done more efficiently over time. You know, our ability to earn ISK continues to go up, but the value of everything remains relatively stable. A good example of that would actually, if we just, like, let's go to Tritanium. If we look at Tritanium, we can see, if anything, the value of Tritanium has gone down. What is happening? No, that's volume. That's volume. Okay, sorry. This is actually funny. So in this one, the volume is so much higher because these are all absolute numbers. The price is so low and the volume is so high that it blows out the other way. But if we look at just the price, we can see that, you know, 4 to 8, but other than Tritanium literally doubling during scarcity, overall, Tritanium has been basically about the same, if not down now, right? Because like 2018, it was almost at 6 ISK per Tritanium. Now it's at 5 ISK per 4 ISK per Trit. So in theory, things should be cheaper right now, but the buying power of Plex has gone up because people are willing to spend more ISK per Plex, because Plex is one of those things that gets kind of competed for because people need it to subscribe their account. I get excited when I see X trillions ISK destroyed in a fight, but then I realize it's not in liquid ISK destroyed, Sag inflation noises. Yeah, especially since 50% of that drops, and, or, you know, whatever, although I guess not the hull value. It's hard to find buyers for huge amounts of minerals at the moment. Well, yeah, I mean, everything's kind of going crazy when it comes to minerals. But my point is that, like, when people talk about inflation, in EVE, realize that for the most part, ISK inflation isn't real, but Plex inflation isn't. So over time, Plex buy power goes up. It's not ISK destroyed, but it's minerals that need replacing, which means someone somewhere is making a buck. It also means depending on the ships, it might mean new researches that are required, especially if it's Tech 2, Tech 2 ships. This kind of goes back to what I was talking about the other day when it comes to the idea that like how much it costs to supply is only one factor when you're talking about like an alliance or a coalition, because especially when it comes to things like meta modules versus Tech 2 modules, right? Tech 2 modules could theoretically be built indefinitely, but meta modules must be sourced from rats. So like during a big faction warfare fight or like a siege, what you'll find is that every single meta gun of a specific type will just be bought out in JITA. Doesn't matter how much you have. If you can't buy the turret, if there's no one selling it, then it doesn't matter how much it costs, right? So that is a big piece of it. Eve doesn't need more luxury ISK sinks that aren't faction capitals. Eve needs more luxury ISK sinks that we do not necessarily comprehend as being able to be returned on investment, right? Even a faction capital, theoretically, you could get it to Crab Beacon, which will only get you more ISK, right? If ISK also could be used to indirectly get titles or clothing or something that is like makes you feel good, a trophy, an achievement of some kind, a cosmetic of some kind, then that truly does go away, right? Faction Gecko BPC NPC buy orders when? So well, I actually think that Garistus should be able to get isn't Plex that luxury ISK sync? I suppose that's a good point, because people turn ISK into Plex and then turn Plex into like skins and stuff. So that is definitely a piece to it. Yeah. That's a good point. All right. Either way, let's go ahead and jump into Plex isn't a sync because taxes, though? Wait. What? What do you mean by Plex isn't a sync because of taxes? Taxes are its own sync. And then so the point is that I guess Plex isn't necessarily the sync, but Skinner and the Ness are syncs, right? So you take Plex and you send, I mean, it's not an ISK sync per se. You're right. It's not an ISK sync because no ISK actually gets removed out of the system. Only the Plex. And players with ISK buys Plex. Players with Plex gets ISK. Yes. So the only ISK that's actually taken out of that system at that point is in taxes, correct? Because you can't turn ISK into Plex directly. So the ISK is not destroyed other than the taxes of the transfer of the Plex. So no. Right? Yeah. So things like if there were more skins available on like the LP store, LP fees are syncs. Before you change tracks, I want to know you to show the Plex chart for RMT items. It's interesting. Wait, which one? For RMT items? What do you mean? Tell me which one to pull up. The real big ISK syncs are pretty much LP stores and BPOs. Skill books. In fact, I think, doesn't this show that? So here we can see that the biggest ISK sync is transaction taxes. That's market. Then asset safety recovery tax. So people rebuying their stuff a second time after getting their structure blown up. And then LP store, and then manufacturing fees, broker fees, skill purchases. It's crazy that transaction taxes are that much more than everything else. But yeah. Don't you think that CCP must have a way of selling Plex for ISK and then deleting the ISK on the side without telling anyone? They could, but that would actually be really bad for them, right? Because like, okay, so let's say CCP wants to sell Plex, or let's say the most obvious way for this to happen is CCP can just put up their own Plex on the market, right? But the problem is that that increases the supply of Plex without necessarily increasing the demand of Plex, which would reduce the amount of ISK each Plex is worth. So, you know, like, for instance, as they've been trying to bring down the value of Plex over time, they could have done that. They could have just seeded the market with a bunch of extra Plex, which would drive down the price per Plex. And of course, any ISK that they receive, they can just destroy. So it would sink the ISK out of the market. But this actually goes against CCP's overall drive because it has two things that are bad. One, it makes it so that there is extra Plex in the system, right? Remember that to CCP, Plex is a liability because to CCP, Plex equals money, you know? Somebody could theoretically need Plex later or want to sub their account, and now they don't have to pay CCP $20 to $25 to do that. They can just use the Plex to do that. So, you know, any amount of Plex that's in the system, CCP has to kind of track as a liability. So them throwing in extra Plex is actually kind of bad for their books. But also, yeah, it's an accounting liability, correct. But they still, like, they have to answer for that. So then the other problem, though, is that the actual act of this is lowering the ISK value per Plex, which, again, this last year, you could argue that they had that position. But if you just want to think about it, like, from CCP's point of view, they want players to get as much value for their money as they can when they pay CCP money. They want you to be as happy as they can when you pay them money. So the higher the price of Plex is in ISK, the better it is for CCP as a company, right? There's more incentive for people to buy Plex because it's worth more ISK, and people are competing for that Plex and spending more ISK for that Plex. There's an additional pressure for people to buy Plex. So in theory, they could do that, but I think that it would be like, it's not necessarily in their best interest most of the time. They once talked about using Plex from banned accounts to try and influence Plex market. That is correct, actually. Well, not necessarily to influence. They like, historically, like, if they have Plex in a cargo hold of a ship for, like, the GM week, you know, they do a running around waiting to get ganked by players, you know, setup. They'll have Plex in their cargo hold just for celebration. The Plex that they use there is usually from accounts that are being banned for RMT or whatever, right? But I don't actually know if that's necessarily true in the modern day. Wonderland, let's go ahead and look up. If we go here, we can look up, what was the blue loot that we wanted to look up? Sleeper data library? Is that going to work? Is that going to be the same? Oh, yeah, except for they changed the value of it in 2015. But we can instead look at the price in Plex. All of the drone AI Nexus, Sleeper Drone AI Nexus. The thing. Oh, here we go. So yeah, this is probably pretty close to what I was looking for, right? Because if we go to average price, we'll see. Yeah, the average price is flat. This is pretty much perfect. Great. So the average price is pretty much flat. And if we go to the price of Plex, this graph here just shows the buying power of Plex over time. Now, you got to remember this is inverted, right? So the lower the line, the less Plex it takes to buy the same thing. So the lower the line, the more buying power per Plex. Uh-oh, what has happened to Wonderland? Why did you kill all of your messages? So yeah, this is a great... anytime people talk about inflation in EVE, like, this is a big one to think about when it comes to this, right? It's not inflation of the items, it's the inflation of, or it's the value of Plex that does go up. Now show for extractors, injectors, hypercores. Well, that's going to be, first of all, very tied to Plex, and also those are relatively recent things. We look at skill extractors. Yeah, this is actually a fun one too, because you can see that in 2022, I think this is about when CCP starts selling more and more skill points themselves. I don't actually know why we see these, well, more sales, more skills points being sold directly by CCP. The value of extractors collapse, unless there's something else that happened at end of 2022, beginning of 2023, that basically makes it so the stability of skill extractors get collapsed. But this goes back to my point, which is that like CCP really wanted to break our idea that Plex is a thing to invest, like a commodity to store your value in. Is this when they start? Because I thought they always did 2-for-1s. When they shored up loopholes for people buying cheap Plex, that's also very likely. It also 2023. When did the Plex price changes happen? Because that might be that too. The second big dip is how you got rich. Hell yeah. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. All right, let's jump into the main topic of the day, though. Unless this is the main topic of the day now. All right, we can go fitting. We want this simulated Armageddon Navy issue ship, right? This is the one we want. Let's see what happens if we fit it. Also, do I have money? I do. Good. We can buy that. And buy all there. Let's see what happens. Yeah, go ahead and close it down for now. Thank you very much for showing that off. Or showing me that. And also for the immense amount of effort it took to get all that data together and stitched together correctly. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, so this is a 700 million ISK setup, whereas this one, nope. Can we just hit buy all? Yeah. Yeah, man, that's so cool stuff, isn't it? So this setup is just under 400 million ISK. So I'm spending almost double to get that extra 100 deep damage. Five gigabytes of CSV file, one file per day. Yeah, that's crazy. So crazy. Immense amount of effort. Congratulations. All right, so I feel like, oh, hold on. Let's actually do this right, because we don't have all of the drones we need. We also need, what are we going to go with? Because these guys reach out to $56 to $70. Actually, that's probably pretty good. So do we, I guess we just want a set of heavies to go along with it. So we're going to go with, Ogre 2s? Maybe? Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with a Berserker 2. And the reason why is because, so the Curator, normally I go with the Curator because EM damage is a nice, unique difference from what you normally use. But I'm EM locked here. So I want something that isn't EM just in case. So we're going to go with the Explosive Berserkers. That also makes them a little bit faster. And then that leaves me with another 25 M3, so I could have a Flight of Lights. So, Hobgoblins. And that's the entirety of that. And then I also want to go with some Aurora, some Standard, and I also want just normal Standard, because remember, if I run out of ammo, that's what's going to keep me shooting, right? Like, I can't actually run out of ammo as long as I've got 5 Imperial Navy Standard in my cargo. Or sorry, not Imperial Navy, but as long as I've got 5 Standard in my cargo, I cannot run out of ammo ever, no matter what, right? So let's go with this setup. We also want the scripts. So we're just going to throw both scripts in here. Anything else we need? No. All right, so let's go ahead and buy all. With missiles, the Armageddon becomes a cheaper rattlesnake. Basically, yeah. And I even tried it with rapid heavies. That's not a bad idea. But again, like, my big goal here is to try to not require ammo. So let's buy this. Fit it up. We're going to call this, what are we going to call this? What are we going to call this? What do we call this? What are we calling this one? No ammo? No. Free money? Sure, whatever. Sounds fine. Fit ship? Blazer? that might be good. Okay. Let's see. There it is. Now, once again, all of these ships are going to be available in the SOE mission system for people who are in the Convocation of Empyreans, if you're interested. Let's see. I've got a skin for this. I've got several skins for this. I like the Sorum skin. All right. And Arydanika, that's the system, right? Yeah. So now we get to go the long fucking way home. Jesus. All right. This is it, right? Yep. I think this is it. All right, let's just go. We can start hauling or heading there, and we can talk while we're on our way. Probably should have done that before we got too deep into the other topic, so that way we could talk about it the whole way there. But either way, it does look legit. We could talk about, actually, hold on. Since we're having to travel all this way, let's talk a little bit about travel fitting, right? Now, this fit isn't actually that expensive, so it isn't necessary for travel fitting, but because I want to get there faster, we will talk a little bit about it. So we want to go to my fitting, and we're going to need, first of all, so my alignment is, we're not going, turning this off. My alignment is 12 seconds. So the nice thing about it being 12 seconds means that I think I can probably get it below 10. Although the Afterburner gets it to 8. Do we want to just do Afterburner? Let's find out. 13 due to, well, yes. I think if members are trusted with collateral, fitted ships are convenient to try new content. Someone may not want to lock in tens and hundreds and millions of years. Well, so the handy thing here is that like I can put these up for contract within the Convocation of Empyreans, and then anybody within the Convocation of Empyreans can pick it up for its value. And then when, you know, so you pay for it, yeah, sure. But then when you're done with it, you can put it up for contract to the Convocation of Empyreans, and then anybody can buy it from you too, including like we can just buy it back from you or whatever. AB both 7 or 8 second align time, no matter how slow the align time is. Yep, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. How's the war going? We won. The enemy did not realize that war headquarters has a compressed timeline than non-war headquarters, and therefore we won. So we'll see what happens in another couple of weeks, but for now, success. All right, so I need hull, right? It's a hull upgrade. No, we're just going to go with inertial stabilizers, right? So is that an electronic warfare? No. Propulsion? Yes. Inertial stabilizer. So if I throw 3 of these on here, that gets my alignment to 8. And then if I throw, can I throw more? That's down to 707. So then if I go to nano, because those are 2 different stats that it's affecting, I think. This should be here, right? Hold on. Armor plates, hull upgrade. Oh, hull upgrades. Nanofiber. 716. So that's still not as much. Can I go like this and get it? I can get it to 7 with that many inertial stabilizers. That seems like a lot. Hold on. Let's try an overdrive ejector. That does not even affect alignment at all. Okay, so inertial stabilizer. So yeah, that's basically all I can do. So I could get it down to 7 like that. Well, the nano does work, but the nano doesn't even work as much as an inertial stabilizer does. Inertial stabilizer is 6.92. Even if at the fifth inertial stabilizer brings it down more than a nanofiber. And it brings down its EHP. So it looks like we're actually going to go with 4 inertial stabilizers. No. Is it 5 inertial stabilizers? Golly. Or we could just go with 100 MN afterburner, which I think that should make it good. Let's try it with 1 inertial. We could try it with 1 afterburner 2, and then like 1 inertial stabilizer, and hope that that allows me to do the afterburner trick. All right, let's try that. So we can pull this off and pull these off into the cargo. And remember, I also would want to have different hardeners available, because you want to have type-specific hardeners. I won't need anything else. Well, just in case, I'm going to go with this. All right. So we want 100 MN. Wow, the price in that perimeter one is so much cheaper than everything else. But we're going with this. Doesn't matter if you take 3 hours to align, it'll go in 7.6 with the afterburner pulse trick. Yeah. I know that sometimes you don't quite have enough, like, or you have too much mass for that, but we'll give it a shot. We'll just give it a shot. Is that, but we need a damage control. And bulkheads. We're going to go with like 5 bulkheads, probably. Oh, things are happening. My dog is whining. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. Come in here. My son has been doing really good recently, so he wanted to say a goodbye before he leaves, so go ahead and lean over. Hey, you can say
hi and bye.
There you go. Thanks. Love you, buddy. Give me a hug. Oh, thanks for coming over.
Hey,
Hey.
Have a good time being a streamer. Have a good time being in the chat.
There you go. Good job, chat. Oh, be careful. Make sure not to let the dog out. Love you. Oof. All right, so back to what we were doing. We go here. And damage control. And the afterburner. Everything else is in cargo. We got extra hardeners in the location, so we don't really need to worry about it too much right now. We can grab a reactive just in case. I realize that I normally prefer a reactive armor hardener. What the hell? Why is this being so weird? Hold on, quick bar, reactive, there we go. Reactive armor hardener. I do like those. Remember, Adam for Eve 2 has historical data, but not price and plex. How far back does Adam for Eve go? Probably? Okay. So now we have a 14-second align time, but if the micro warp drive or the afterburner trick works, then we're good to go. Also, we have 143,000 EHP, so it's going to be a pain in the ass to try to gank us anyways. So, okay, cool. So we're going to start heading back to Arydanika and chat while we go. Oh, my green screen. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. All right, we're going to test. I'm going to right click this, go to auto repeat off, and put it in the F1 position. Oh, I have 2 reactives now. Whoopsie. I guess I did have a reactive already fit. Wait, where's my hardeners? Oh, wait, no. Yeah, that's right. Still have the 2 active hardeners there. The nice thing about this setup is it does have a drone damage or a drone control augmenter in the highs. So I'll be able to actually hit things with drones further away than even the Dominic's Navy issue, I'm pretty sure. Just because with the Dominic's Navy issue, we used up all of our high slots. Oh yeah, there you go. It works. Okay, great. The afterburner just works. Good to know. I've always been told it's the micro warp drive trick, but increasingly so I've become a believer in the afterburner trick, since the afterburner has a shorter cycle time than the micro warp drive. But they're all the same cycle time. So doesn't matter which afterburner you use, as long as it has enough thrust. Did something change to make that true? Because, like, it's always been the micro warp drive trick, but did something happen to make my afterburners faster? Micro warp drive trick is more for getting out of bubbles. Well, it's also more, it's more guaranteed. It's also better for cloaking, right? Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do an afterburner cloak trick, but the micro warp drive has enough oomph behind it to get you up to speed in spite of the cloak. And there's almost certainly a lot of ships that won't work even with the afterburner. Like, I think the one that we were trying the other day, the hauling ship didn't work unless I was overheating it. Micro warp drive with cloak is ideal because it gives you more distance from those precious seconds as you disappear, making it harder for a speedy boy looking for you. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I've done the A-B trick with freighters. What? Wait, what? No. No, no, no. Wait, what? Hold on. Well, the only freighter that you could do that with would be the Avalanche. And the Avalanche, last I checked, requires a faction micro warp drive to work. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, yes, yes. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Hold on. Let's go full camera. Hey, Zoe, over here. Oh. Come on. Zoe, come on, up here. Hold on. Treat. Do you have any treats? Treat, treat. There you go. Good girl. You guys get to see the whole family today. The Bowhead and Avalanche. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, kitty. This, by the way, is who you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for and whatnot. Zoe here, getting her treats and everything. Is pretty much, once I spend all the money I need to for my bills, she's the one that gets a lot of the extra special stuff. She's so great. I love Zoe. She's named after Zoria Triglav, of course. She's got a little triangle, little spot on the back of her neck. You can't really see it. Well, you can almost see it there. I have pictures of her on the Discord, of course, especially for followers. And I've been posting some new videos of her on the second channel, on Decanted. So you can go and check those out. Make sure you subscribe to Ashrothi's Decanted channel while you're there. I need to have a lot more subscribers before I can even begin to monetize that cost. Bowhead. Okay, yeah. I guess I rarely ever think of the bowhead when I think of freighters. I think of it as its own, like, beast. What happened? Where's your treat? What happened to the treat I just gave you? Did you lose it? Did you drop it? Oh, there it is. Found it. Oops, I forgot to use the afterburner. Run jump from Uedama. That's probably a good idea. Oh man, did you see like the absolute most like emergent gameplay thing ever I saw on the forums the other day? Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. There was a thing about Uedama. Probably got downvoted, so I'm not going to be able to. It'll be harder for me to find it. Or was it a forum post? Well, the best answer is a scout. Double best answer if that scout has a web. My favorite scouting ship in the game is actually this setup here. I have a specialty ship, the Daredevil. This Daredevil has triple hyperspatial velocity optimizers to make it warp faster. It's got the cloak so that way you can hide. It's very agile, and it's got these double Federation Navy stasis webifiers for 90% webs. When this guy locks you and webs you, you will warp. It almost doesn't matter what else is going on. When I web you with this thing, you leave the grid. What was I just looking for? Shoot, I was looking up something. Now I can't remember. No. What's going on, Zoe? What was I doing? I was going to do... Oh, yeah, the Eve post. Is it a forum post or is it... There's a whole thing about how they're now going to charge people for saving ships in Uedama. Here we go. I found it. This is so funny. I don't even know if this is real. This might be a troll. I don't know. Hard to say. But I read this and it made me laugh so hard. So, like, basically, there is... you know, Uedama in particular is a very popular choke point for ganking because it's between Jita and most of the rest of space, and it's a 0.5 system, so it's a high target point for ganking, which makes it a high target point for counter ganking. There's been this kind of movement over the last several years for people to try to help stop like a ganker from being successful in Uedama. So like a bunch of dudes in Ospreys will sit in Uedama and basically try to save people that are being ganked. This is like emergent gameplay, right? Like, you know, obviously nobody forced people to gank people in Uedama. People are choosing to do that based on the choices that other people are making by bringing way too much stuff through Uedama. And so now there's this extra layer where people are taking it upon themselves to get in the way of the gankers, right? But now they've realized that, well, this isn't worth it. Like, we're not making money out of this. Nobody, like, the gankers want to do the gank because then they get the value from the gank, right? But there's no actual, like, tangible intrinsic reward output for the people who are saving the ships, right? This goes back to like the Triglavians versus Edencom, right? When you're on the side of preserving the status quo, it can feel pretty unrewarding when you succeed. And so now, after years of struggling to try to counter gank in Uedama, and with limited success, I might add, when it comes to these Osprey attempts, they have instead now tried to monetize this by asking people for tips for surviving gate camps. This is like the enshittification of Eve services as we speak, right? Which I find very fascinating because, like, well, the person that's being saved, what are you going to do? Ransom them? Like, so now they want you to pay them a certain amount of ISK per year or per something. Hold on. Yeah, you have to pay 5 billion ISK fee for the year, and then you'll be added to the list to receive reps, which means every single time that they're trying to save a ship, they're going to have to consult the list to make sure that the person is worth saving, which is only going to make it even harder for them to save people, which they already fail pretty significantly, pretty often to save somebody. And yeah, exactly. Mining permits, but for freighters, right? They've somehow managed to backdoor themselves into basically, oh yeah, you could use blue status. That's true, but then they have to maintain that as well. And they can also, I guess they could automate that process of like making sure that their standings are correct. But let's be frank, like, this is still ridiculous, right? This is still ridiculous and basically mining permits, but for freighters with no guarantee that it'll even be successful. No guarantee. Hell, there's nothing stopping them from taking your money, and then because they have you on blue, they can see you easily. They think that you are undefended, or you think that you are defended, I should say. And so, if they decide not to, they can just not happen to be there when you go through, and then they don't save you and somebody else ganks you. And it's like, what are you going to do? You're not going to get your money back because they failed to save you. You're just out the money. So yeah, that's a nice obelisk. It would be ashamed if something happened to it. Your best bet is scouts, webs, and let somebody else get ganked instead, right? Yeah, they're not going to be at the gank 24. They're not going to be at the gate 24/7. And anytime that they fail to save you, they'll just be able to shrug emoji and be like, "I guess we weren't there. We tried, whatever." So you're paying for no guarantee whatsoever. Hysa Guardians are going on their villain arc. Yeah, no kidding. This is crazy. I read this and I thought that this was like its own level of scam, but like he's going for it. Got downvoted pretty heavily. This is the thing, like this is the thing about emergent gameplay and the sandbox, right? The sandbox we can do whatever we want in the sandbox. We can make whatever change we want in the sandbox. You can make ganking in Uedama harder to do, right? You can affect the gameplay that way. But you are expending your own resources. You are expending your own force. You are expending your own time and energy to make that change in the sandbox. You're the only one that gets to decide whether or not it was worth it to you, right? When this started, it was worth it to them to just stick it to the gankers. This goes back to that idea of like killers in the game, and not all killers are actually trying to kill things. In this essence, like the people who are trying to stop the gate camps are also killers. They're trying to disrupt the gankers gameplay. And as I mentioned earlier, last time, the one thing killers hate to do is have it turned around on them. So, they're probably not doing this just for the goodness of their heart and to make Eve safer. They're doing this because they know that gankers really get off on making people mad, and these guys get off on making the gankers mad, right? I do this all the time where it's like, oh yeah, great. I like bad people because it means I can do bad things to bad people and feel good about it, right? So this is a way of disrupting someone's gameplay while still being the good guy. But, you know, welcome to capitalism, and along a timeline, someone's going to try to figure out how to monetize it. And here we are. So we'll have to pay attention to see how this is going. Obviously, this has not been a very successful attempt. It's been highly downvoted, and every single comment that they have made past this point has also been highly downvoted. Oh, yeah. So I guess I wish them the best of luck. In the meantime, I'm 3 jumps away. Whoop, what? Whoop, what? Yeah, jump freighters. The problem with jump freighters are, like, bringing them around in high sec is a lot more expensive, and they also have less cargo space, right? A lot of these guys that are being ganked because they're using cargo expanders instead of bulkheads anyways. So they want the maximum amount of cargo space. Jump freighters have like half the cargo space as normal freighters. So if you're gating your jump freighter in high sec, you're probably doing it wrong. See, there's something else in Eve subreddit that I was looking at. Hold on. You gotta always fit the bulkheads. Well, I mean, not always. I've definitely done times where I've gone triple cargo extended, but again, scouts, having your scout be a Weber so you don't have to worry about alignment time, and like if I'm going to be triple expanded, I'm going to be hauling something that is huge and bulky and cheap, like titanium, right? Just forget cargo, just bulkhead it and whatever, make the 2 trips. Again, there are different situations, different choices. EVE Online is a game about the practical application of bad ideas. If it takes you 2 trips, then you know you could have gotten it done with 1 trip, and who knows, if there's nobody there to punish you for it, you could have just gotten away with it. Yeah. In fact, the thing is that, like, if you are going to do something like scout it with a Daredevil, like that Daredevil situation, like, doing it all in one pass actually cuts your exposure in half. So if you're just trying to get something done before somebody can disrupt it or something, then just knocking it off, like, with the Weber, it's almost just as safe to do it one way versus the other, right? The funniest story was I actually had somebody take a pot shot at my Weber once in Uedama. Like, Ash jumped into Uedama. My hauler was in warp in a freighter in her Charon towards the Uedama gate. And so I zero up on the gate, and whoever the catalyst or whatever, somebody took a shot at my Weber, because it's a pretty nice ship, all things considered. Didn't kill it, so I was able to jump back through the gate, and then as my hauler was landing, I just warped it to the nearest station, and then webbed it off, and then docked up everything, and walked away for a couple hours with a mild heart attack. Oh God, that was the other thing I saw the other day, which is that there's a people complaining about no FOMO, right? So there is a sale going on right now. I forgot to cover this. Now that we've actually made it to Apanake, shit. All right. So there is a sale going on right now. I think it's still going on, right? Yeah, until the 22nd of January, and it's coming with these Gilded Predator skins. They look pretty sick. They're gold and black. So I'm just going to say, like, they do have the 20% discount on this, on the Plex, plus the skins. Is it worth it? Absolutely. You know, you're still going to get the discount, and the skins are pretty sweet and sell for pretty good. But somebody was saying that this is FOMO. And the funny thing about that is that not only is this not FOMO, this is actually the opposite of FOMO, because they've actually sold these skins before, the Gilded Predator skins, once. So by bringing it back, they're actually like breaking the FOMO concept, right? Because it's like, oh, these skins will come back again. So if anything, these actually killed the value of these skins, because what was once believed to be maybe possibly a one-time only thing now is a multiple time thing. You can even see that in, wow, that is some market data right there. I need Rata Sunset to come back. I mean, your best bet for Rata Sunset is just to use Skinner, right? Like, hold on. If we go, can I Rata Sunset this one? No? Because it's Navy? Hold on. If we go here, variations, it is a Nest skin, but they haven't sold. So Rata Sunset was the first, I believe that it was the first cosmetic skin that wasn't like based on one of the corporations, and so it stopped being sold on the Nest store years ago. It was one of the ones that got mostly removed. Is this? Oh no, yeah, no, there are some. In fact, you can get the Armageddon right there. So you can get the Armageddon for 110 Plex. It's got white and red. White in the middle, red on the sides. Let's see what it would take to create that in Ship Skinner. So this, oh boy, we're gonna need to pull up Rata Sunset. Okay, so this needs to actually be white. And then this one needs to be matte red. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, because of the navy part of things. That's going to make this a little bit harder to do. Let's just go with that. Yeah. So not quite exactly the same. I need a duller red. Whatever. This one would cost 35 Plex. So it would only cost you 35 Plex. You might want to get a better color for the red. But like, yeah, this is what I mean by like Ship Skinner isn't terrible. You know, yes, it does cost Plex to make, but so did the original skin that you're replacing. So you could theoretically do it. You just need to get the right color of red. All right. We are at location, so let's go ahead and reset up our fit. Boop, 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 and boop. And then I come here to inside the hangar, or inside the ship, and grab all of these. Put them on. And that should about do it, right? Yeah, you can make the Caldari ones yourself. That's the cool thing about it. Okay, great. I think we're good to go. Let's go to the agent. Level 4 mission. Quest mission. Excellent. Set destination. Confiscated viral agent. So we need to intercept the transport ships. So this is going to be one of those ones where it would be nice to have a tractor beam. I realized too late. So we can grab a mobile tractor unit just in case that's useful to us, but I don't know if it's going to be. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. Intercept the saboteurs. So I am going to land on grid and then jump away. And then basically I have the drone control range. I have 84-kilometer drone control range. So that's more or less my operational range. If I pop in Gleam, Gleam is going to be my... what? Yeah, Gleam is going to be my short range ammo at 17 to 42. So once they get to 40 or 50, I'll be able to switch over to this damage. Before that, I'm going to want to be... standard is 66 to 91. So I'm almost certainly going to want to go standard over Aurora. $690, 869, 835. Yeah, I want to go with standard over Aurora. I pretty much don't need Aurora. And I'm going Serpentis. So I'm going slightly the wrong hardeners. So if I take too much damage, part of that's going to be because I have an EM hardener instead of a kinetic hardener. But my reactive is going to do some of the work. So let's warp to location. Oh, hold on. I just realized we need to switch to this version. That way we can have Peld like that. And yep, that's good. So now we can keep track of things with Peld. We want tracking speed, partners on. That's red cycling now. I'm going to just go with Berserkers for the first section here, because I don't want to jump away and jump back. We're going to keep an eye on our drones. And we can switch to Gleam. I doubt I'm going to hit anything with this. Yeah, my turrets aren't going to hit anything right now. But my drones are, and that's what matters. And it really doesn't matter if my drones take aggro right now either, because, well, they're shield tanked and there's not enough on field for me to be threatened with by it. Kill the last dude. Great. Now I pull in my drones. Activate the gate. We're going to put these as the primary drones. Right? Curators? Yeah. Oof, that's a lot of things. But it's all like far away. So we're just actually going to fight them right like the way it is. We're going to start locking up all of these frigates and everything. I want to kill as many frigates as I can as early as possible. So we're going to lock them all up. Switch to standard and start getting to work. Drones on 1. Why is my curators missing? 63. They're a little bit far for the curators, but they're going to come in range as we go. These shorter range ones are going to be more important to target. We're just going to keep on working our way down the line. Things that get kind of, the closer things get, the higher of a priority they are to kill. This is working extremely smoothly so far. The nice thing, that's the nice thing about frigates coming directly at you, is that they are very easy to peg when they have no transversal. These ones that are getting kind of close, though, they're going to start hitting a point where I can't hit them as easily anymore. I'm going to switch to Gleam to see if I can still hit this guy. Doesn't matter. I'm still getting him down fast enough, though. So that's good. Except for that one. There's one that managed to get past me. So I could swap to my... Or two, I guess, that got past me. Because I'm not really hitting this one either. Somebody's scramming me, though. This guy is scramming me. That's a problem. I don't like scrams, so let's go ahead and pull these in. And put out the hobgoblins. Because small ships hit small ships. Why did my hobgoblins just go running away somewhere totally wrong? Not great. I do not like to be warp disrupted, although the warp disruption is gone now, but that's probably because they're going after my drone. There we go. All right, that guy's in. So let's go ahead and pull in. And then we're actually going to go straight up, basically. Not quite straight up, but almost straight up. And then jump. And that should pretty much reset everything. There we go. So now I just swap back to long-range ammo and long-range drones. And we keep going. Oh, I need to wait till I get within lock. Oh, I need a better lock range. I only have 70. No. Oh, I was being damped. That's why my lock range was low, but now it's better. I can't use this yet until they're at 84. So some of these that are closer are fine. Why is my curators missing so much, though? Interesting. My curators want to hit... Oh, they want to hit at 65. So that's why they're missing still. Once they get a little bit closer, they'll be better. My long-range gun, though, can still hit people no matter how far away they are, basically. So yeah, this is super smooth. This is super smooth. Feels pretty good, too. And again, as I mentioned last week, one of the biggest advantages of going with these micro jump drive setups is that there's no enemy rats in Plex or in missions that scram. So basically, I'm pretty safe in the fact that even if I did get warp disrupted like that one did, I can just micro jump drive off and then get myself away in the event that things go bad. But right now things are clean, clean, clean. This is extra far range. I think I can actually swap to standard. Yep, I totally can. Oh, I just realized I kind of want to kill one of these Serpentis transport ships before they get too far away. No! Or too close, I should say. Let's kill one of these transport ships now. The problem is it's going to make it too far away. But either way. Oops. And I don't want to move closer to there. So let's stay near my drones. Let's not go crazy. And gleam for better tracking. Actually, that's still too short of a range. So we're just going to stick with standard. So yeah, this has been super clean. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to clear the total peak ratio just in case. They're starting to get a little close again. That's theoretically okay. At this point, they're not bringing enough damage to totally worry about it. What? Yep. Are you trying to get down? You need to get down? Where are you going? Where are you going, puppy girl? So yeah, this is a pretty clean setup. Obviously, this is a little bit more expensive than the super cheap one that I was looking at earlier, but like the difference is not, I mean, difference in effectiveness is not that much. I would argue that the Armageddon, just the standard Armageddon, would be perfectly great. It'll be a little bit slower in how fast it kills things, especially with how much, if you notice, I am actually using my turrets quite a bit. Oh, let's see how well my tank holds. My damage is starting to go up as that Megathron gets closer and closer, but it's also going to die soon. So that should bring down my incoming damage a little bit. Hey, thanks. 07 to you. I like making content for you guys, and I appreciate all of you who like, comment, subscribe, and make the, especially those who make the extraordinary choice of becoming a supporter, either by becoming a member or a patron. You're the reason why I'm able to do all of this, so thank them. So now that these guys are close enough, we can switch over to Gleam and just see about pegging one of them. Yep, I can hit the battle cruisers at least. My tank is holding because I'm hitting 100% armor every cycle. Although, yeah, I'm barely hitting this thing. And the curators are not hitting that thing. So now that I've got everybody on me, I mean, like, I'm tanking them all right, but I'm also not hitting them very well. So I'm going to pull in those and put out my berserkers and let them get to work. So remember, your beams are your short, or sorry, your long range ammo. Sorry, beams are your long range turret. Oh, I need this curator in. Beams are your long range turret. Now the Tech 2 long range ammo, sorry, the Tech 2 short range ammo for the long range turret actually increases tracking. So that's why, like, once they got close enough, I swapped over from standard to Tachyon, or from standard to Gleam, not because it does more damage per se, but because it actually increases my tracking as well. Most of the time, Tech 2 makes your application worse, but in the case of your long-range ammo or weapon systems, such as beam lasers, your short-range Tech 2 ammo actually increases its tracking. Been here forever and forgot to like the stream. Do not forget to like the stream. Now, the nice thing is that this transport ship, the one I killed earlier, well, the other one managed to make it to me in time. So we're just going to go after this one. That's why I always like to wait for the longest time to get the transport ships, because they often do a pretty decent job of coming to you. And that's not the viral agent. It's going to be the last one you kill, right? That they usually do that. Yep, there it is. There's a cargo box. So I couldn't have even gotten it off of the first one I killed. There they are. Go ahead and pull in my drones. Set destination. And head on out. Could have looted the wrecks, could have salvaged and all that kind of stuff. But I do like things when they're just in and out. Easy peasy. Now, the other thing is that I would need to, if you're going to be an alpha, you would need to meta the guns at the very least. I don't know how easy it is to check to see how alpha friendly it is besides that. And let's go ahead and dock up. That was a much shorter mission than some of the ones that we've done before to show off the other ships. There we go. So this was 1 tick at 3.2 million. Again, much shorter, like half as big as most of the other missions that we've tried with the other ships. So the reward is accordingly. But I mean, it means that we got the entire mission done in less than 20 minutes. In fact, we can check. Like, I jumped into Avun at 41 after, it's 58. So it took me 17 minutes or so to get through that entire site. All right. Start conversation. View mission. And complete the mission. Boom. Done. And so that's easy enough. Also, it's worth noting that the agent for the Arydanika system is also a locator agent, which is also very strong. I will be right back. I want you guys to say in the chat, what is it that you guys are interested in me doing next? Should I do another mission? Should we talk about something else? Or should I get ready and then switch over to my other games channel? That's kind of the idea of where we're at right now. I'm going to go pee really quick and then we'll talk about it when I get back. Thank you. Sorry. Yep. No. Okay. So enlist in faction warfare and then do other games. So that is a good point. Today, this week is faction warfare week. Do I want to, Malak? Am I putting the entire corporation into faction warfare, or are we just direct enlisting? Okay. So our faction warfare staging area is right here in Audern, which puts these systems kind of be our points of interest, which are actually all Minmatar controlled right now. So, all right, we will, I fixed it now. I fixed it. Can I, do I need to be in, I guess I have to be in the proper station before I can enlist the corporation? Is that true? Enlist with Minmatar. I assume I have to be in the correct station. My nearest enlistment is in a... Wait. Am I reading this wrong? Enlist with Mimitar. My number one enlistment place is in a Mars station? Okay, well... Yeah, I got to be in a Mimitar station. Okay, cool. Well, let's go ahead and find a different ship. All my ships here I want to keep here. So then I will just grab a Corvette. Well, that means, okay, so we're going to enlist into faction warfare, and then that's basically going to be it for today's, or like, I won't be able to direct enlistment at the same time, so we'll just have to wait until tomorrow. Oh, shit. No, wait, hold on. Doesn't that make it so that I won't be able to stream it tomorrow? Unless I start late? All right. Number of items. Modern. Yes. Well, that's its own... That's going to be its own set of jumps. We'll check. We'll check to see what we can do today. And we'll also check to see whether or not I get killed in the Edencom system. I can also do Mimitar mission tomorrow for the first half, then Faction Warfare for a second. That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good-ish point. If it works out that way. The big thing with faction warfare is that you do have to be in a station that's owned by the Empire that you're trying to join. And remember that once you join faction warfare in LowSec, you cannot undock in stations that are owned by the enemy. Just do Galente Navy instead of SOE? Yeah, okay. That makes sense. But, so... the biggest problem that I've seen people run into when joining faction warfare is that this isn't going to be the case right now, but often they'll go to a low-sec system. Any lore updates or speculation? Ooh. They'll go to a system and then they'll join the faction warfare, but then that system will be owned by the enemy, and then they won't be able to undock in the ship that they docked up in. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're enlisting in faction warfare. Just be mindful of the location that you're enlisting from. Any lore updates or speculation? I mean, I've said this many, many times before. This year is going to be all about... Oh, yes, there is a lore update. Hold on. Yes, you're right. No, hold on. There's a whole new website to pay attention to. Oh, it makes me frustrated, but it's true. Hold on. Let me pull up. Yeah. Oh, man. Thanks for mentioning it. So, yeah, Vanguard had something. So it turns out there's actually a whole new website to pay attention to. I mean, technically, I think the website's been up for a while. But, nope, not that one. What's up, Puppy Girl? What's up, Puppy Girl? She might want me to get off soon so that way she can go to the bathroom. Today's been super hectic. So actually, I think what I'm probably going to do is we're going to enlist into faction warfare, talk about this for a little bit, and then I'm probably going to just be head out for a little bit so that way I can take her for a walk. Look how patient she's being over there in the background. Hold on. There she is, back right there. Aw. But today's been so hectic. All right, but we do want to cover. Golly, where is it? There it is. Browser. Come on. There is this Vanguard website now, evanguard.com, which I don't know how long evanguard.com has been up, but there is a new post from 3 days ago. Important missive for New Eden's Vanguards. Remember how I said that this year it's all going to be setting up the bastions? Well, let's read this. From Lord Warden Elian, Warclone, we have returned. Betrayed by the Empires, hunted by Concord, purged from the cluster, too dangerous and unpredictable to be permitted freedom, for years we hid in the shadows of New Eden. At last, we have the strength to rise again. Avalon is finally real, our home amongst the stars, our bastion. Our actions will now shape its destiny. The Empires will come for us again. Our fight will be eternal, but we will drag them down into the mud and the dirt, and we will make them bleed. We are the Immortal Vanguard. The Garden Watches. So there's some stuff in here that I find really kind of interesting. One is, first of all, this character, Lord Warden Ellen. I don't think that this character has any history anywhere. The problem is that the word warden is also the name as the structure that is being used by the Deathless in Zarzak for a lot of their high-powered computational stuff and hacking and FTL communication lines. It's the thing that decloaked when the drifters attacked them. So you can't really Google Warden Ellen EVE Online and get anything that isn't just the Warden itself. Ellen is a fairly standard name, and I haven't seen anything involving the Deathless that involves that. The other thing that's worth pointing out is this Garden Watches. The Garden Watches. I feel like the Garden has a reference to Vanguard. Hold on. We can put this up. Go to the universe portal. Because wasn't there a gardener character? The garden is a site. It's almost certainly not what they're going with. Hadakan is also known as a gardener. But I doubt that's what it's referring to. That's too old. That's too old. All this is too old. What about the gardener? Wasn't there? I feel like there was something involving Vanguard and a character named the Gardener, right? Wasn't that one of the new ones? When it came to the Bastions? Are there any other lore updates on here? News. No, really. They call it New Eden. Maybe he's just being poetic. Well, I mean, like, a lot of these characters have titles, like, you know, the guard, you know, there's the Life Giver and the Quartermaster and the Deathless. Man. Maybe it's in the Discord, because I know that they've done, like, they did lore conversations in the Discord. I feel like there was something about the gardener. I just... Oh. The gardener is just Nurgle. Okay. Hold on. Garden Watches, new lore post. Everybody's just talking about that one. Yeah, this is the Facebook post for that same article. Here's this one. Here's an interesting post. So CCP tweeted on their official Vanguard channel, the Garden Watch post, and then 7 hours ago, this militia member is ready to face the weak and the Vanguard. Are you? It makes me wonder what is it that they're up to right now? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. I think it's just going to be a good idea for me to go look at her. How can I deny this puppy her walk, right? You guys understand, don't you? So what we're going to do is we're going to get to where we're going. I know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You're being so patient. So we're going to get to the place. We're going to do the dropping into faction warfare thing. We'll check to make sure to see how that works and what that might mean for tomorrow. And then we'll wrap things up. And then then later today, I'm going to be jumping into my Decanted channel to do more of the... We were doing the Imperial Agent storyline within Star Wars The Old Republic. That has been really, really fun. So we're going to keep doing that. The link to the Decanted channel, the second channel, should be in the comments or in the description of the stream. Make sure you subscribe to that channel and get into the Discord. I guess this is your last opportunities for questions, comments, because she is being so pathetic. Her puppy eyes are the best puppy eyes. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Puppy comes first, I guess. I think the gardener was one of the characters from the Vanguard stuff. Golly. I gotta pull that together to see whether or not there's anything there. I am really interested in jumping back into faction warfare this week, since there has been some pretty significant changes to the balance in faction warfare recently. So I kind of want to see what it's like out there. I'll have to find whether or not I have all of the, because I should have most of the like missions and stuff from the previous Vanguard events. So maybe we'll find. I think that the gardener was. There's only 2 shorts and a live recording on the second channel. That sounds about right so far. There's 2 puppy shorts and my part 1 of my Star Wars playthrough. And I guess this isn't going to work exactly. What chance? What do you mean? So if I go to faction warfare, I check this, and I go open faction section, empire or selection. I'm going to go Mimitar. Initiate enlistment. Oh, I can't. Wait, what? What happened? What? What happened? Open faction selection. Enlistment incomplete. Cannot enlist here. Okay, great. Got it. Yep. Totally. Punchanello, Moon 1. Let's go. What change? Oh, so they made it so that faction warfare sites are a lot closer to pirate insurgency sites. So now there's rats on both sides in the plexes. So you have to kill the rat. But now defensive plexing is also worth the same amount as offensive plexing, as long as the system isn't stable. So defensive plexing does now require you to kill the rat, but pays the same amount as normal faction warfare, as long as it is, you know, not stable. Let's see if this Algos manages to kill me. Probably won't. I think there are some other smaller changes too, but that's the big one. Okay. So my understanding, we're just going to test this last piece out. Open faction selection. Okay, enlist my corporation, enlist my alliance. And now this says 24 hours. Okay, so yeah, tomorrow I might not be able to do faction warfare because of this, at least until later. So if that's the case, actually, I'm still open to doing this. We just might do a later stream tomorrow. And that's actually my biggest question for you guys, right? This is the question that I want to kind of close things off with. Let me know in the comments below, in chat, in Discord, however you want. The main question that I have for you guys right now is, you know, I've been doing this stream at the same time for a while now, but a lot of the big reason why this stream was set to being at this time was because that was when my son was here and was at school. Yeah, he's not here anymore, so I can actually do things at other times. So is my normal time for streaming like the best for people, or would people be interested in trying like a later stream tomorrow, like more of a US time zone look of things instead of an EU time zone look of things when it comes to the faction warfare? Because otherwise we could do one way or another. I'm interested in that. So we're not 100% sure what we're going to do tomorrow, but we are starting the process of joining faction warfare. And so stay tuned for that. If you are new to EVE or returning to EVE or just have not gotten your free 1,000,000 skill points, make sure to use the link down below or in chat to get your 1,000,000 free skill points. It does help those who help the show. Right. Well, yeah, like this would be normally the end of my stream, whereas like in another world, I would start the stream around here and maybe not, and maybe a little bit later, who knows. And then make sure you join the Discord and the conversation. You can join the Convocation of Appearance if you want to, but you can always just join the Discord, come hang out with us. We are here to maximize player engagement with EVE Online. And if you are a supporter, if you're a member, if anybody's gifted you a sub or anything, make sure to tie your Discord and your YouTube together so that way you can get access to the supporter-only chat where I post wonderful pictures of my dog and ask you guys what I should do next. You know, if you are a member, make sure you vote on those things, which happens every week. So yeah, tomorrow we'll be talking more about some faction warfare, probably. TM, we'll see. But all that said, I've been Ashrothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put EVE into context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Sorry that today was a bit shorter, but it is hectic and there's a lot going on, and I also want to do my second stream today, and my puppy needs to go out. So I want to give, before I leave though, I do want to say a thank you to my top tier supporters. 745 MPSI, Arydanika the Queen, Bad Boy Smooth, Ebo Leet, Erladis, Elange, Flash Gordon, May, Malak Starfire, Malin, Mercuton, Mayak, Neelam, LM1, Sheesh, Susuro, Thrans, and Rid. Thank you guys so much. If you want to become a supporter, please just consider becoming a member or a patron. And also remember that you can change your YouTube, your Google nickname if you're afraid of your like real life name or whatever being shown here. So yeah, I should be back tomorrow, but more information on the Discord, blah, 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 open to ideas. But for now, I'm heading out. So I've been Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden. And until next time, I'll see you in space. Even if that space is, you know, in Star Wars. Do I play Eve Echoes? I did play Eve Echoes at one point. I haven't played it for a long time. It might be worth touching base on that. It is definitely worth touching base on Eve Galaxy Conquest. There's so much more stuff to cover. But we've got a long year ahead of us. Let's get to it. Till next time, I'll see you in space. Oops. Muted the wrong one. Ashrothi Decanted, its link is in the description down below. Let me... There you go. It's my future channel for all my non-Eve stuff. Yeah, like the stream. For the guinea pigs. Well, I also need to clean their cage today. Ah, so much to do.
For every city